Superliminal is a work of art, and if you haven't experienced it already, I urge you to click off and do that. It's a little strange because while I won't be talking about the game's story, I think a lot of people will agree that Superliminal is more than a story. Its game design is an expression of art that is mind-bendingly beautiful. It speaks for itself in that way. This video contains spoilers for gameplay, which is unfortunately unavoidable when talking about a game so concise yet so complex. Basically, if you haven't experienced the experience it. But if you don't have access to a PC or something, maybe watch a playthrough. I really hate to have to do this to you since this is my first video in months, but I promise you playing it first is optimal. Besides, it's like 2 hours long, just play the fucking game. I originally had the pleasure of playing this game a few months ago during the big quarantine thing. Didn't want to go outside and contract beaver fever, so what better to do inside? Gex?
It's gonna be deja, ouch, all over again.
I played this game with hardly any prior knowledge, only having seen a small demo of what the game might entail. It might not have even been a promo for the same game, I just remember it reminded me of Superliminal. Anyway, the first time I played it, I just had a great time. It was incredible what they did with the level design. Everything is constantly so complex, but also easy to grasp. It's a puzzle game, so obviously it's not endlessly replayable, but every once in a while I can see myself reinstalling it and giving it another go. But there was always one aspect of this game that I had overlooked. Sure, the game was super, but it was also liminal. Is that a fucking ominous line right there? Liminal spaces are defined on the subreddit as the time between the what was and the next. The word liminal also literally means a place of transition. Speaking literally, a hallway is a space that is liminal, an area that goes from one important place to another. Why am I speaking so fucking ominously? But you'll notice when looking at these images that most of them aren't hallways or roads. Some of them seem more like a destination than a means to one. But that's really the shtick of the liminal space. It's not literal. I sound like an anime character. The subreddit describes it as a time, not a place. Somewhere you've been in times of emotional passing also qualify. An old playground you went to one time and never returned to. That ice cream shop along a road you no longer regularly travel. This non-specific area in a McDonald's advertising the BTS meal is genuinely liminal for whatever reason. Sometimes these images are nostalgic. For example, this image of a school hallway was discussed heavily among my friends and me for how nearly identically it resembles a hallway in our old middle school. And then someone put Mario in the doorway. That had like an urgency to it. Am I fucking going insane? Holy shit. Superliminal has plenty of areas like this, strangely akin to places you swear you've been to. Areas that look like hotel halls or generic waiting rooms with the same boring old desktop computer. This one gets me especially how this massive empty room is so unremarkable, that even though it's a very purposefully designed and modeled 3D area in a video game, it feels familiar to me. Isn't it strange how you can create liminal spaces? There's something familiar about this image of Minecraft Alpha. And it's Herobrine, of course it's Herobrine. But looking at some of these liminal spaces, doesn't it make you uncomfortable? Some of these liminal spaces feel eerie or unnerving, creepy even, and I'm not sure why that is. Superliminal does a fantastic job at these uncanny liminal spaces. Parts of the game are meant to be actually scary, but that's not really what I'm talking about. Though that is one of my favorite parts of the game, I'm trying not to talk about the story, so I'll restrain myself for now. But you walk into places like this that just feel off. The area is well lit, and you can see everything clearly. There's obviously nothing to be afraid of, yet I still get this sense of underlying fear, of impending danger where danger is not yet present. In other words, it feels like I'm not supposed to be here. There's a famous image called The Backrooms, which is a creepypasta. It uses this aforementioned sense of impending doom to fill the viewer with dread. There's no literal threat in this image. Some of these images feel eerie in that same way. There's nothing inherently scary about a playground at night. They do exist past 7 PM, right? But it's like you're not supposed to be seeing these structures in this way, taken out of their preferred context. A lot of liminal spaces are just normal spaces that are stripped of their most defining characteristic. The people. Empty malls, airports, playgrounds, hotels, etc. Long stretches of roads that would be much less uncomfortable to look at if there were cars. Superliminal has these, of course. This area near the end of the game is completely silent. No music, even, as you'd expect of a video game. Just you and an empty parking lot that seems to go on forever. This pool room with no people, or water for that matter. This area underneath a level that looks like it's from the perspective of a rat is strangely one of the creepiest places in the game in my opinion. Liminal spaces are also commonly described as dreamlike, as in places you've seen in your dreams. With this in mind, it's no wonder why Superliminal went with this design choice. The game is incredibly complex, constantly throwing things at you that just melt your mind. I appreciate so much how thorough this game is in just destroying your perception of reality, in creating spaces in which the mind-bending happens that in themselves bend your mind. Give me a fucking break. This is why I describe Superliminal as an experience. It is not simply a 3D logic puzzle game. It is not a puzzle-based adventure that centers around a forced perspective mechanic. It is very rare that I would describe a video game as art. Not that I don't think that they all are, just that sometimes it takes a little more of a push to prove a game that way. Hey, this is editor Andrew here. So what I mean by this was that there aren't very many video games that I could use to prove video games as art. I think they all are art, but this script was written by my stinky doo-doo brain at like midnight with no input from anyone else at all. So yeah, that's why it sucks. Anyway, continuing. You can have fun gameplay or good graphics or great multiplayer, but what makes your game artful? What did you do to push the player's mind in unexpected and unfamiliar directions? Sometimes it's not even just about having an overall important message. Not that Superliminal doesn't. Superliminal is a gem that I wish more people talked about. It's a masterpiece. Every bit of this game was created to fill you with wonder and amazement. If you haven't, please experience Superliminal. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm trying to come back now. I have been for the last, like, fucking 3 months. Truth is, I've been trying to juggle a lot of things at once. I keep having great ideas for massive videos I want to make, and the scripts end up being fucking insanely long, so I'm intimidated to even finish writing one of those scripts. I hope you're okay with me coming back with a smaller video, but I just happened to play Superliminal again, and recently fell into the YouTube rabbit hole that is liminal space videos. If you're interested, I highly recommend checking out the communities behind the topic. It's fascinating. All the liminal spaces used in this video, by the way, are from the subreddit r/liminalspace, so go check them out over there. I have no idea when the next video will be. It's kind of a fucking miracle that I was able to focus long enough on one script to finish it. I hope I can manage this again, but if I don't, please know that I'm not intending to stop making videos, nor did I during my little hiatus. Thanks for watching, I guess. I don't know, I usually just abruptly end the video on a joke or something. I've never done one of these end card things. I guess I'll just stop talking now. That works.